numbers to call tonight, 888-673-3700. That's 888-673-3700. We are in a time of transition, and it's obvious because I don't think anybody can define what we're in the middle of now. I can tell you it's a psychological operation. I can tell you it's been ritualized. I can tell you there's a lot of confusion to be had. And, I mean, the bottom line is reset to what? Is it endgame? Probably not. It's a means of an endgame. And we're being told that we're sending 575 military personnel into Iraq, including the 275 Marines and troops sent to guard the U.S. Embassy. So, do you believe that, or do you believe that we're going to be furthering our cause in the Middle East? I mean, it's kind of like this. We're at war, but we're not at war. We're tapping your phone lines, but we don't tap your phone lines. I mean, this is where we are now. I mean, it's like double think and double speak, like in 1984. As they say, the war is meant to be continuous, and the war continues. And we wonder who is controlling the controlled disintegration, the controlled demolition of this country. Because we're watching and we're hearing from pundits saying they're going to level the economy. They're going to actually level all of the economies of the world, a wide world economy leveling. And then this was all part of a plan, okay? This was part of a plan that was thought up back in 1973. It's called, well, actually, the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, decided they want to do something called a nation-changing project they called Project 1980. And the project, at its core, was mainly the controlled disintegration of world economy in order to reconstruct a socialist government based on a form of anarchist communism. Now, Hillary Clinton, we've heard a lot about Hillary Clinton wanting to be president. We've heard a lot about Benghazi. We've heard all about the scandals. But here's an even bigger conspiracy, okay? Hillary Clinton, member of the CFR, addresses the Council on Foreign Relations when they open up an office in Washington, D.C., or in New York. I don't know exactly. They've been opening up a branch office. Let's say it's a branch office of the Council on Foreign Relations. So what does she do? She gets up. She's very gracious. She speaks to the CFR all the time. But her words were pretty much that the CFR and several other groups give advice on how the world should be conducted.
Oh, thank you very much, Richard, and I am delighted to be here in these new headquarters. I have been often to, I guess, the mothership in New York City, but it's good to have an outpost of the council right here down the street from the State Department. We get a lot of advice from the council, so this will mean I won't have this far to go to be told what we should be doing and how we should think about the future.
Okay, so you hear that. She says, I get told what to do and how we should plan for the future. And I look at that and I say to myself, you know, if she were president, she was saying that, how would we feel about the Council on Foreign Relations or some other group or organization dictating policy? We already worry about the Bilderberg Group dictating policy. We got all the elite gathering together in Bohemian Grove. We've got all these guys getting together, dictating policy, commanding policy, and literally they're running amok, okay? And so, you know, all the time I hear all this scapegoating on the program about, you know, it's the political groups, it's the right, it's the left, it's the Muslims, it's the Jews, it's the blacks, it's the... You know, I hear all this all the time, and I'm saying, we can't define who's screwing with us. The threat to the Republic is the permanent revolution of the open conspiracy. And for many years, conspiracy theorists have called out and confirmed that the New World Order is happening, or the New World Order is a reality. And George Bush spoke of the New World Order. Everybody has talked about the New World Order. It's a definite. We were warned years before that there would be a new dawn, a new awakening, a new age of Aquarius. It would arrive and bring with it this nationalist socialist idea, this new nationalist socialist idea compared to other socialist ideas. The dialogue is wide open for this. If you take a look at social models, that this type of nationalism and socialism always happens because it's a tool to motivate people in times of economic crisis, and the greater the hardships on people, the more it moves in. because we blame others for our shortcomings. That's why nationalist socialist movements are huge. Here we are in the 21st century, and what are we dealing with now? Hegelian Marxist thinking. It's affecting the entire social and political landscape. Why? We always have a crisis that begs for a solution. And we are constantly being fed the solution by our own government. And so here we are now in the middle of this big psyop, and the psyop is called ISIS, I guess. And I found it interesting that as I was perusing through what they're planning for the future, I stumbled upon how the Department of Defense now has dispersed some money, and this is from 2008, all the way from 2008. They've been funding the Department of Defense's basic understanding of social, cultural, behavioral, and political forces that shape regions around the world. Namely, what they're looking into is how people are going to rebel against the government when the government decides to change. And that's literally what it is. And they're calling it the Minerva Research Initiative. And I was like going, Minerva, oh my gosh, another goddess. We've got Minerva, we've got Athena, we've got Isis. I mean, they're the equivalents here. We've got, Romans and Greeks and Egyptians, and they all have their goddesses to deal with. So you got the Minerva Research Initiative. I mean, Minerva, more or less, in many forms, but mostly she likes to appear in the form of an owl, which I thought also was interesting since the Bohemian Grove is going to be happening soon, where they're going to be offering this effigy to an owl. As I said many times, everybody thinks it's Moloch. It represents Moloch, but it's not Moloch. It's Minerva. It's the owl. It's basically an occult ritual kept from the public eye out there in California. They dance around an owl and they offer up an effigy to dull care, basically saying, I wash my hands of the sympathies of the world as I go out and make their lives hell. I'm a politician. I'm an elitist. I'll make people's lives hell, and I don't have to feel guilty or have any care about it because I'm a politician and I can do whatever I want. And see, that's the thing, is that they have no guilt, no shame, no morality. And so here we are in the middle of the transition. We're in a transitory state. We thought war was over. War's starting again. And so the transition into this new order has the appearance of some ism. Some people say communism. Some people say Marxism, Nazism, anarcho-communism, or anarchist communism. Basically, the idea that we get rid of the state, we abolish the state, we get rid of capitalism, wages and private property, but we decide that we would rather have common ownership of production, direct democracy. We have this network of voluntary associations and workers' councils with production and consumption based on guiding principles, and that is from each according to his ability to each according to his need. Kind of like across the board. Everybody gets something according to their ability and to what they really need. And so here we are watching the transfer of wealth happening in this direction. We're seeing Common Core in the schools teaching this very important idea that everybody is capable and no one's going to be punished for failing and we're all going to be the same across the board. The collectivism is there. The individualism, it's not quite. The sovereign, got to get rid of it. So here we are in transition, and this is what I'm seeing. Council on Foreign Relations, Project 1990s, Hillary Clinton, all of it coming together. And we were warned years before this was going to happen. And so many people, last night we put the nail in the coffin of the left-right paradigm, and I think we confused a lot of people, but there's nothing confusing about the idea that there is a conspiracy to bring down the United States, and this is it. Now, what do you think is the end result? Where do you think we're heading? What do you think that end game is going to be? That's the question. Because it's so Orwellian, so bizarre. We can't define it. There's so many things involved here, from Hegel, Marxist dialectic, to Nazism. It's a big old conglomeration of blah. And there we are. We have to try and figure out what role we play in this new ideology. I mean, Marxism may have killed 100 million people during the 20th century and failed in every single society in which it was ever been tried out, but it seems that a new form of this agenda is being implemented, and the New World Order will be part of the substantive process of global sustainability. I mean, this new order is going to be paved over the bodies of the old. Now, if you don't believe this is happening, you think I'm crazy. Look at all the things that have transpired in the post-9/11 world where America has been transitioning to this new government. We now are a country that has accepted new government agencies, new militarized police forces, nationalized health care, social reforms, and proposals that alter your rights to privacy. The left versus right paradigm has been a sham, and it can be proven because the idea of a kind of silent communist revolution has embraced actually both political parties. I mean, is it a fact that both parties are owned by groups that want to push globalization and state socialist orders? I mean, everybody has their socialist order they want to push, right? We just followed along blindly and accepted these socialist policies without questioning them. Yet, there are still a great number of people awash in this delusion of choice. There is no choice. We got this anarchist communism creep that gets blurred by the war effort. It's a new status quo that sets the stage for the worldwide push for global sustainability and world control through the use of destabilization and controlled demolition. They're doing it in Ukraine. They're doing it in Iraq. We're organizing this everywhere else. When are they going to start doing it here, or are they doing it here now? 888-673